Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Welcome to another episode of Arts Place, conservative talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. We've got some hot burning topics today. Number one, probably the hottest topic out there was the Rittenhouse verdict. Found not guilty, which was good. Good, which was awesome. Great. Cool. The other thing we're going to talk about is Biden's Build Back Broke, or better, as they think it would be. So we'll talk about that. We're going to be a little short-handed today because Lloyd Mendenhall couldn't make it today. He's going to be busy preparing for Thanksgiving because he's got family that he's got to coordinate with and get everything uh, working. Uh, but Mike is still here. He's going to be helping us out, and possibly Ed Myers, all the way from St. Augustine, Florida, may jump in because this was a hot topic over on his uh, channel a couple of days ago. So let's get this going and let's bring up Mr. Hot Wheels all the way from Syracuse, New York. It is Mike Roach. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Art. Good afternoon. Good to see
You?
you. And I'm glad I came in today. I didn't know you're going to be short staffed. You can't get good help these days, you know.
Yeah, that's right. These old folks, you know.
but but yeah, good to be here. It's a nice afternoon here. It's dry out. It's in the 40s or whatever. For the end of November in Syracuse, we're having a very nice fall and looking forward to Thanksgiving myself with my family. But I don't have to do much, so I'm just going to join in the fun. But
Well,
good
the
to be
weather's
here.
the weather's been great here. We haven't had any snowfall, which is
Wow.
unusual.
Yeah,
We
usually,
This is the driest winter I can remember because I
yeah,
think today will make it the longest streak between the last snowfall and this snowfall.
wow.
Yeah.
We've had a
So
couple of dustings, but and a few flurries in the air, but nothing that really stuck. You guys usually get blasted before we do.
yeah,
But
we usually have snowfall in October. Sometimes as early as late September, we might get a
right,
measurable amount of snow. But boy, it's been dry. Did some flying today. It was great at first because there was no wind. Just had some more video issues with my FPV drones, but we'll get that sorted out hopefully this weekend.
yeah,
But then the wind started picking up, but wasn't quite as cold as last week, so that was a good thing. Like you, my Thanksgiving's going to be easy. I'm going to be going over to my niece's mother-in-law's house Thanksgiving. So
right,
uh, we're going to be doing that, and so that'll be something a little different other than going over to my sister's house.
yeah,
So I want to say hello to Chris Wedgeworth
yep,
and Ed. Love my drones. Welcome to the show. So let's get this party started. So we had the big verdict on Friday. Uh, so
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't a big surprise to me, but it was nice to see that the wheels of justice work.
right,
Let's say,
yeah. It you know, it was always one of those things. The longer it went, obviously the jury was doing what they were supposed to do. Go in and deliberate and argue and discuss. And the fact that it took um, 4 days or whatever it was, really, I don't think was that big of a problem. It meant that they really went over stuff, got caught up in some video stuff there, but you know, um, in the end, I think like you, they came out with the right decision, and hopefully they'll get left alone, and all that, and thankfully, it looks like you could argue people saying what was he doing there, this, that, and the other. That in the end wasn't the point, and the point was each of those shootings, and they were all justified. So, like you, he was acquitted, and hopefully he can get his life back.
Yeah. And the thing is, it should have never gone to trial, because if you looked at the videos clearly showed it was self-defense.
Right.
So it was really a politically motivated charge. That's why he was charged with that. And a matter of fact, I was looking at some of the facts of the case. Like he was charged with bringing a firearm across state lines. He didn't do that.
Right.
And it turns out Wisconsin's law, he was legally able to, have a firearm in Wisconsin.
Right.
So I looked over some of the interesting facts and points in the trial. Like, as a matter of fact, that garage, or not garage, but that gas station where it was at, that was his grandparents' business.
Oh, was
and
it?
he stopped a dumpster that was on fire that was headed right towards the business. He stopped that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you hear so many people, saying, "Well, what was he doing there? This, that." Well, what was everyone else doing there? He was there trying to offer some guardianship to that place and offer medical help to people who needed it. Everyone else is there in that gang of psychotic people. Some of them literally psychotic, it seemed like, and setting things on fire, and rioting. I hate when these things are called protests. It really makes me sick when that word it immediately dumbs down what's actually going on. There wasn't a protest. There was a riot, and he was being chased down by a bunch of wild animals, essentially.
And he was knocked down a couple times in the process. And then he got hit in the head a couple times with the skateboard.
Right.
And people were saying, well, that's not a lethal weapon. Yes, it can be. I mean, you let somebody hit you in the head with a skateboard, and that's not a pleasant thing to happen to you. And all it would take is a hit in the neck or the head. You're done.
And it was going to be multiple hits. It wasn't going to stop there. He was going to get pulverized, and so he protected himself, and he was all the time trying to get away, and that was that. Thankfully, in this case, you never want to end up in court for anything. I've been there, and not charged with a crime, and different scenario, but you never want to have your life being determined in the courtroom ever, and it could have gone either way. You never know what a jury's going to do.
Right.
Thankfully, the judge in this case didn't take sides, but he was very in command of the courtroom, and in Rittenhouse's favor, that prosecution was, like the Keystone Cops. I mean, just awful job.
I think they took a page out of the OJ trial.
Yeah. Well, because
that was a real inept prosecution there.
Yeah, and the people they put on the stand, I mean, basically were witnesses for the defense when it boiled down to it.
Yep.
And but of course, now we have the ramifications of the whatever you want to call them, the left-wing civil rights so-called mob, which protests will turn into rioting. What level? Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing is, I hope Kyle sues the crap out of the media because they
Right,
slandered him. Because they
right,
didn't, they assumed he was guilty right off the bat because he used a weapon to defend himself.
right.
So
Not only
I
that, a
hope he
weapon
not
of
only
war.
sues the media but the president because if I'm correct, I believe he called him a white supremacist.
I believe so. And the
Yep.
and the media, I hope it goes along the way of it did with was it Nick Sandman, the young kid
Yeah,
um, who had the Native American guy pounding the drum in front of his face. The kid just stood there smiling. What was he supposed to do? And he ended up getting what $250 million
yep.
in
Hmm.
settlements. So hopefully the media takes a bath on this one and gets slapped down again because they deserve it.
That's true. I mean, it's sad that this happened, but if the police would have done their job
Right,
and quelled those rioters, it probably wouldn't have gotten this bad.
right.
But
Yeah,
they were just told to stand down, and city after city where we had protests like that. Even here in Denver, we had the Capitol vandalized by these idiots. They went downtown and they damaged the businesses. So,
yeah.
I mean, why are we? Why is the police not doing anything? I mean, none of the very not. I shouldn't say none, but very few of those protesters have been prosecuted. They've never been indicted and held over for trial or had a trial, as far
Yeah.
as I. Yeah.
Well, in the context of last year, that was, it was all about letting things go nuts to get rid of Trump at the time.
Yeah.
And that was a Democrat city. And,
Mm-hmm.
rioting was basically allowed to happen. And, city after city after city, it was all political in that sense, I believe, in order to, just keep mayhem going on so that a certain amount of people thought if Trump goes away, it'll all end. And
Right.
somebody, as soon as just the same way the rioting was turned on, just a couple days before the election, notice the rioting stopped like somebody
Yeah.
flicked the switch, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's clearly organized. And once the election was in hand,
Mm-hmm.
because of so many other things as well. You know, and I think it was all about the election, allowing that to continue because the police
Yeah,
have the
you're right.
capacity to stop that stuff. You know,
And then you have what happened on January 6th. That's called an insurrection.
right?
When now we're finding out people were instigated into doing that.
Yeah,
Uh, much of the people that were there, they were trying to tell them, no, no, don't go in the building, don't go in there.
yeah,
And then there was that one or two people saying, "Come on, follow me. Let's stop the electoral college from uh, what
right.
is that called?
From them basically accepting the votes of the electoral
Result.
college,
Yeah,
and
certifying. Yeah, that's right.
right,
Certifying the election.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
say there's more to that. We're probably never going to really hear the truth. Somebody way up high in the food chain allowed that to happen, and whether it was Pelosi or whomever was ultimately in charge of the security of the Capitol, with all those people in town at the rally down at the White House with President Trump, they should have just, as a matter of course, had much more beefed up security at the Capitol,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
they let them in. A lot of those people just waltzed in. some smashed in and stuff, but a lot of them were just walking in. And unfortunately, the one that gets shot by one of the security people at the Capitol is unarmed, veteran who, I don't know why the trigger was pulled, whether it was an accidental thing or, they panicked or who knows what. And they protected that guy's identity for the longest time, because he wasn't of the proper identity for revealing that sort of thing. So there's a lot to it, and I don't think we're ever going to really know the full story, but they're going to get as much mileage out of that as they can.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, as soon as I heard the verdict, I posted on my Facebook page that he was found not guilty. And all of a sudden, my friends of like mind were saying, yeah, right on, self-defense. Then I've got one of my old comedian friends back in the day when I used to do stand-up comedy, just start posting this crap on my page. And so I wasn't going to allow that to happen, so I just booted him, I blocked him, and I took down all that crap. I did have a couple friends saying, no, you should, let that stay up there so we could see what an idiot is. I'm like going, nah, that's not how I roll on my page. When I see crap like that, I just nip it in the bud. Otherwise, it's just going to feed the fire. I don't like doing that,
Right. Yeah.
Out of all the years I've been on Facebook, which is probably 10 or 11 years, never been in Facebook jail.
Well, I wear that as a badge of honor. I've been in Facebook jail. So it doesn't take a lot, especially last year, to get in Facebook jail. So, and God, they just decide weekly what they want you to talk about,
Yep.
So, but we'll all be on Meta soon enough.
Yeah.
And, living in a fake world.
Make everything Trump again.
Yeah. Right. And Facebook is is a great platform. It's terrific.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know what they plan on doing with this new thing that they've got coming up. I certainly don't want to live in some virtual reality world or semi-virtual world. I like reality much better.
And this is a great platform for friends you haven't talked to for years to get in contact with. And the one thing that it really kind of sorted out your friends of like mind, and the ones that don't agree with you, they're going to be pissed off, and they're either going to block you or you're going to block them for them posting some weird crap on your page.
Right.
Yeah,
it's terrific. It's good for political groups. We're both drone groups, people to stay in contact that way. And my alma mater is in there. Keep in touch that way. So it's terrific. But unfortunately, like all tech, including the platform we're on, it's owned by a bunch of lefties who, they want to dictate what you can say and what you can't. So
I want to say hello to Mike B. Good to see you, and Tim T. Or Jim T. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Got a few people watching.
Before Facebook, there was this other page called what was it? MySpace.
MySpace. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never on there. I never, because everything I heard about it was perverted. So I was like, I don't want to go near that thing, And it was more of a younger thing, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
But when Facebook came along, even that didn't interest me. But I was like, yeah, I'm missing out on a lot of family stuff, so I joined it reluctantly, and
Yeah, you'll get to see who's cooking what.
yeah,
Hey, look at what I made.
right. I look at
For
all
me, I'm a bachelor. I'm kind of proud of some of the stuff that I made.
right. I hear you. That's cool.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Hmm.
you're always catching your dinner and then cooking it. So
Yep.
that's a
Catching
good
and
thing.
cooking it. Yep. Yep.
So
Uh, Made a really good pot roast yesterday. Cooked all day. Turned out excellent.
yeah, well, that's cool.
And it was a big chunk of meat. It was what I got from the late Eric Enstrom. He had a piece. It was like a couple inches thick. It was about 8 by 9. So I had to cut it in half and freeze the rest, and so I made a really good batch. So I gotta make some people. Might be you already have a ranch, but Ed needs a ranch.
yeah,
Ed, and I don't know Jim that well. He's got to be, kind of he's got to come back a few more times, and we'll get to know him, and we'll make him a moderator.
yeah, and but yeah, it was obviously a busy news week, with
Yes.
the Rittenhouse thing, and obviously that's still, it's an ongoing story in terms of the stuff that's going to come out of it. The left is apoplectic about it, and
Yeah.
I know that they're worried about some stuff going on in Kenosha. In New York City, they had quite a scene happen down there too. Nothing compared to
Oh,
last year, but I don't think it's going to get as bad as last year.
yeah. I don't think so. You know why? Because look who's the president.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah, it's not an election year, so but
Yep.
but yeah, so I'm glad for that kid, and you know, and glad for our country in terms of upholding the Second Amendment was really
Yeah.
defended well in that case, and as much as people call ARs, it's just a semi-automatic rifle, but or
Yep.
weapons of war and all this stuff. It's not, it looks like a weapon of war, but in the end, it's a semi-automatic rifle. So good day for the Second Amendment and for overall justice. Unfortunately, it took a year for it to happen, but so but and hopefully we just go into Christmas with some normality, and all that.
Right. Well, Jim T is
Zelensky.
talking about Zeminski. I don't know who that is, but evidently he was another uh, shooter. Joshua uh, Zeminski.
Zelensky. Yeah,
Yeah, so,
I know that I know I've heard that name in the news. What story is that? Maybe Jim can um, uh, elaborate
so
on
it
that.
says here on October 13th, 2020. Oh, he was. Okay, so. Oh, I guess he was the one that shot first at that riot.
All right, there was a gunshot. I don't know if it hit anybody or what it hit.
He
That
was being
before,
attacked by Joseph Rosenbaum, and someone fired a gun.
right? Yeah.
So
Um,
he was only charged with disorderly conduct, felony, recklessly endangering safety charge, firing a handgun will not proceed. Okay.
yeah. Right. I mean, there there was a lot of people with guns down there
Yeah.
at that riot situation. Thankfully, no, not more people got shot. But regardless of somebody breaking gun laws or firing handgun for whatever reason, it just, burning dumpsters and throwing them in the buildings is just as bad as firing a gun, if you ask me.
Right.
And but this time around they have the National Guard ready to go ahead of time and all this stuff. And where was the National Guard last year?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think even Donald Trump offered to have the National Guard to assist, and the governor or the mayor said, "No, we don't need any help."
Right. Yeah, he pretty much offered in every city that was out of control, whatever they needed, and they refused. Here in New York State, they refused in New York City. Governor Cuomo wouldn't send the National Guard down there, and they just wanted the mayhem. So it's not on Trump's shoulders at all.
Yep.
And it was all about the election. I mean, it was just plain and simple. And of course, George Floyd was turned into a saint.
Right.
So
Jim Teese was wondering if he has any immunity. I'm not really familiar with the case. I just saw a cursory article about it. So, yep.
Yeah, right. I think Mason Kaiser is talking about maybe Rittenbaum showed restraint because it's not like he randomly was just firing at people. It's only when he was in imminent threat that he, fired a shot or a burst of shots at people who were within, either touching him or within a step of him. Like the prosecution tried to say, well, the guy was 4 feet away. Well, one step and you've got a hold of that gun. So you don't wait till they wrestled you to the ground to defend yourself. So
I am of the belief that you should be able to use lethal force to protect your property, because if you think about it, that's your life as well, because you put a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears into your business or to get that piece of property like a car or a boat or something. And you see somebody stealing that, hey, maybe I might not kill him, but hey, at least injure them enough to where he and other criminals might think twice about stealing other people's stuff. And I think if people start doing that, then I think you'll see crime start to drop. And then you're always going to get idiots that are going to, try to steal your stuff, even though, their life may be in danger.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been in a situation once, way back in the 1980s, in my second apartment, where I was sleeping in on a Sunday morning after a night out, and my apartment got broken into. So the door got jimmied open, and I was in bed, and the guy walked right into my room. I think they thought I wasn't there, and I was half asleep, and I said, can I help you? I literally wasn't aware of what was going on yet. And he stopped in his tracks and backed out of the room and said no. And I actually laid my head back down like I was going to go back to sleep. And then it immediately came to me, whoa, I'm being broken in here. And I had, I'm disabled. no capacity to get up and fight these guys off. And I could hear movement out in the other room. So I thought I got two choices: lie here, be really quiet, and hope they go away, or start screaming, like I'm going to come out there and do something. I chose to be quiet, and thankfully it ended well. But if I'd have had the capability of having a pistol, on my nightstand or, at hand, I could have at least got it, warned them, don't come in here. And that would be the great equalizer. If they'd decide to come in and work me over, it'd be like, well, yeah, another step and you're going to get one.
Well, Mason's got a good case here. A few states you could use deadly force to protect your family, property, livestock, and stop someone from committing a felony.
Right.
Unless you live in California.
Yeah. Yeah, so. But
only the Koreans are smart enough to figure out, hey, if you defend your property, nobody's going to screw with you. Remember the Rodney King riots?
Right.
Yeah, the Koreans, they were up on the top of the buildings with the rifles, and nobody messed with
them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And in the Rodney King case, they shouldn't have rioted, but Rodney King really was worked over, I think, by the cops.
Yeah.
When
he was.
So there was a genuine case there where this Kyle Rittenhouse guy is nothing to do with racism whatsoever. Mm-hmm. That's another area the media is taking it.
He shot 3 white guys. He's white. And my leftist friends are calling it race.
Right. Yeah. It's well, that's the tool they have, because they don't have much else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So white supremacist, racist, the gun nut, whatever. Well, when someone else is pointing the gun at your head, who's the gun nut?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. And I don't think I've seen him at this channel in a long, long time. So it's great to see you, Mike.
Yeah, and Night Train's here, Ed's here, and Mike B.
You know what was really scary Friday?
Wow.
Kamala Harris was president for a while.
That's right. Yeah, and what, I'm not sure what clause they call that, where she actually had power while Biden was put under anesthesia. Of course, I don't know what difference that really makes at this point.
Yeah.
But
you know what they found when they did the colonoscopy? They found the Build Back Better program.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's
where most of his ideas come from. He just pulls them out of his butt. Hey, look at this. Hey, another social program. Hey, let's make this country communist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that's insane. It's framing that as infrastructure is a joke. I mean, way less than 50% of that is going to go to anything that we would think of as infrastructure. And
but it's human infrastructure.
Yeah. What is it? 87,000 IRS agents are going to be added as part of that bill. I mean, there's
you need to crack down on those scofflaws who might be evading taxes. There is a difference between evading taxes and avoiding taxes.
Right.
Now, avoiding taxes is not illegal if you work within the rules that you're given.
Right.
So there are places where, I like what Ed says. It should be called Build Butt Better.
Yeah. And the scary part is it's the largest single spending bill, I think, in the country's history.
Yep.
And
but Mike, it's paid for. It won't cost anything.
Oh yeah, it's paid for. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's some real creative accounting going on right there.
Yeah. It's really, and the scariest part is too that that's just step one. They've got the bigger bill coming. If once they get this thing done, that the 3 trillion on top of that, we're just spending so much money that doesn't even exist, and and it's going to
your
get
kids
people
and grandkids will be paying for it.
right.
And your
But the thing
great
is, it's never going to be paid for.
Yep,
That's the
you're
thing.
right.
We are so much in debt that it's like, our grandkids are going to be paying the price, so to speak, because our country, will be in financial ruin, and inflation is already out of control. Nobody, is going back to work. There's so many people who are still getting this, that, or the other benefit to stay home, and people, have learned now for going on 2 years, like you don't have to go to work, and we can't operate like that very long.
Yep.
And I think that's the plan, to tell you the truth.
Yep.
The overall
part
plan
of the
is
Howard Piven strategy to overwhelm the programs where it collapses, and then they'll say it'll get to a point where people will be asking the government to take care of it.
right.
And that's where everything is going to go down the tubes. If we start asking government to help us rather than get the hell out of our way and let us take our potential to become prosperous. Because, of course, there's always going to be poor people and there's always going to be rich people. I mean, you go to the Soviet Union back when the Soviet Union was still around, the wealthy people were the ones that were in power. They had all the perks and
Right.
nice apartments and a dacha on the Black Sea. But you still had poor people who couldn't work or didn't want to work, and they were out in the street or they were in a institution run by the government.
Yeah. And I think literally the leftists, I hate to just say Democrats, the extreme left, when they say build back better, I think what they truly mean is to basically break down the entire capitalist system and build it back in a communist slash socialist type of system. Look at this person that Biden has trying to, I forget what seat she's going for, but the one who grew up in the Soviet Union.
Comptroller of the federal bank.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
she wrote a thesis on, she wants to get rid of fossil fuels. We should let them go broke. And she also wants to nationalize your bank account.
Right.
So
It's insane. And she would not disavow communism when she was being questioned. She basically said, "Oh, we suffered under it and all this stuff." But when asked, given directly, she would not truly disavow it, and she made excuses. Well, I grew up in that system, so my family suffered greatly, but still not condemning it. And so that frightens me.
Yes, it does. Hey, let's welcome all the way from St. Augustine, Florida. It's the quiet Ed Meyer.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, Ed.
Good to see you.
You said a lot of things during the stream because I've been here for a while working.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can you believe where we've gone now? and I forget all the things I wanted to say about some of your comments, but I tried to put it in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that. It is, we're all old enough to remember the 70s and 80s and, what our country was then. And it's not the same country at this point. Hopefully we can head back that way. But it's not the country I grew up in.
Well, I mean, and you were saying something about Democrats years ago, Mike, I think. And that was the Democrats today or not the Democrats of yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite presidents. I mean, I was a kid, but even as I got older, I read back on JFK and PT 109, all that stuff, man. Yep. He was awesome. And when is the last time you saw a Democrat lower taxes? And JFK did.
Yep.
Right.
So
they would call JFK if they didn't know who was speaking, they would call him a right-wing extremist right now.
Probably so.
Yeah.
But another funny thing that I find too is that now I forgot. I'm sorry. Never mind. I feel like what's her name? What is the comedian Art that was on Saturday Night Live that
that was Gilda Radner.
Yes.
She would make a comment and the guy said, "No, you ignorant slut," and she would say,
"Jane Curtin."
Never mind.
Yeah. Jane, you ignorant slut. Yeah.
Well, my sister gave me this shirt, and I'm happy to wear it. I have a Trump 2020 face mask too. He didn't make it. Oh well, the media was stacked up against him the whole time.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Art and Mike.
Okay.
Did Trump ever embarrass you?
No, I don't think so. I didn't care for his tweets now and then, but I understood what he was getting at.
Yeah.
I think it was part of his plan because he knew they were already riled up, so he just wanted to say something to really get them going, to really expose them for what nut jobs they really were, hateful people.
Yeah. The tweeting never bothered me that much. I mean, I knew you'd hear about these tweets and you would know immediately how they're going to be used against him. But he was basically right, everything he said. He just wasn't the most eloquent tweeter, you know what I mean? And but in terms of, I've never been embarrassed by him, I've got to say, and or in any way ashamed to say around anyone that he's who I voted for and who I'm going to vote for.
Oh, well, now I get you there, Mike. What I mean is specific moments when he embarrassed me. Like I thought the first debate was a disaster. But see, the whole thing is, and the thing I always loved about Trump, and still do, and yeah, you could call him a politician. No, he's a New York businessman. And he didn't do the political thing, and I'll tell you right now, I hate political correctness. I hate that. And that's what he got busted on, was political correctness, because he was not.
Yeah. Well, when it came to the debates, if you remember the first Republican debate, when the girl from Fox there, Megyn Kelly, was asking about being, a sexist or whatever, when he came back with the only against Rosie O'Donnell comment, he won that debate right there, as far as I'm concerned. that was almost like, I'm paying for the microphone type of moments like Reagan did.
Yeah.
And but the debates again with Biden, so-called debates, I mean, calling them debates is a stretch the way they're operated. But remember the one, he had COVID, basically. He was coming down with coronavirus, wasn't he? Feeling sick, and he was sweating and stuff. And then it was announced that he had coronavirus, and we were wondering, like, would he be ready for the next debate? So he was a little under the weather there, and thankfully he survived the coronavirus without much problem. But it's the format of those debates, especially the Chris Wallace one. I mean, he might as well have been working for Joe Biden.
Right.
That was pathetic. So, did we lose that, or is he?
I think so. I'm going to bump him out until he comes back. Yeah. Oh, the character was Emily Nutella.
Okay.
That Gilda Radner played, and where you say, never mind.
God, you're going back a ways with Gilda Radner. That's early Saturday Night Live.
Well, she was like one of the original cast.
Yeah.
With Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and
Morris. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was the guy that played Father Guido Sarducci.
Right. And I don't know if all those skits hold up over time, but at the time that was groundbreaking stuff. If you ask me, that thing should have been shut down a few years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's I didn't start watching Saturday Night Live until I was I think a senior in high school, and I was kind of a latecomer to Saturday Night Live, and I started watching. I see these reruns where they had the shark. It's Andy Graham.
Land shark.
Land shark. Yeah. Andy Graham.
Right.
It opened up the door.
Right. Remember the one where they had a Billy Graham? It was I forget who played it, but it's like knock on the door. I have a Billy Graham for you, and it's like with a message for you. Like he was Billy Graham, the evangelist, and
Okay.
We're going way back now. So
But,
I haven't watched that show in forever.
2 Wild and Crazy Guys. Right. Yeah, that was
Dan Aykroyd and
Steve Martin.
All right, Steve Martin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, comedy is not what it used to be. If you look at what's happened with Dave Chappelle, there's a guy who tried to jump back in the pool feet first again and get going with comedy as we known it, and he gets in trouble for it on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
But most people loved it, so Netflix, is while they're trying to play both sides, but they're making a lot of money from that special.
That's true. And I was in that biz for so many years, and I saw the left wing tendencies of most of the comments. I would say 80% of them were left or far left, but I'd say a big majority of them, it wasn't in your face. It wasn't like, if they heard that you had conservative views, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
That was only some of the hoity-toity ones that, like some of the, when I got started, there were already comics who've been doing this for like 5, 6, 7 years, and I come along and they're, okay, and they helped me out and helped me, showed me how to write material, and they helped me by uh, suggesting bookers, hey, yeah, book this guy. He's pretty darn funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you look at the comedians we grew up with, Johnny Carson, who was the king, couldn't be
Yep.
touched on late night. Bob Hope, all those old school guys. You could never tell by their routines which side of the political aisle they were on. You couldn't, Johnny Carson went after every politician, left, right, didn't matter. And
Yep.
whether it was, Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, Nixon, wait, he goes pretty far back, Reagan, Dan Quayle, it didn't matter, so, and nowadays, those shows have become political shows. They're really not funny anymore.
Yep. Oh, Mike, Ed, we love you, Ed. It was a pleasure having you, and when you dropped out, and we didn't know what was going on, but hey, nice pictures though. So hey, thanks for popping in for a little while there, Ed. It was a pleasure having you on here. So um, so
Yeah.
so it looks like Biden's already pardoned the Thanksgiving turkey at the White House, which is really kind of a nothing burger because every president pardons the turkey.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised they even still bother
But
with that,
Babe
show
is
they put
getting
on.
cold as they speak. He's hanging up in the kitchen, and they're going to have ham for Christmas.
Yeah. But yeah, it's what is the next thing coming up? So you have the Kyle Rittenhouse story and the so-called Build Back Better plan, which is a frightening thing. It's just crazy left-wing spending, and and then the going into the holidays with the my supply chain problem.
Yeah.
I'm not so much worried about getting Christmas presents for people as being able to, in a couple of more months, if this doesn't get in order, just getting general goods that we need.
Right.
And
yeah, I'm already seeing certain items at the grocery stores aren't on the shelf. I'm like, oh, wow. I remember not too long ago, the shelves would be, full.
Yeah. Yep. And the Biden and his people, because Biden doesn't know anything, but the people around Biden don't have any answers to what we're going to do. They just say, well, we're looking into it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Look into it and get something done.
Yep.
And
well, I remember that there was a reporter who asked his energy secretary, who was former governor of Michigan, Granholm, about it, and she pulled a Kamala, just laughed at him.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what you could do is you could finish that pipeline and allow people to drill for oil on public lands that you already canceled. I mean, there should be a lawsuit right there where they had a contract with people to drill on property, and then they just stopped it. And it's like we went from being an oil producing country where we were a net exporting country to now we're an energy dependent countries. So we got to depend on the Middle East, Russia, Indonesia for our oil. So we're no longer oil independent anymore. And it took one president and one party to do that.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why the price of gas is a buck higher than it was last year, more than a buck. And how about heating oil? I mean, in your neighborhood, the price of fuel oil is going to be really expensive.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are bracing themselves for heating season, and hope pray for a mild winter, I guess, because like you said, these energy companies who had gas contracts, oil contracts on public lands, those things aren't things that you can just start and stop. Those are major operations that take major investments to get up and running, and all of a sudden you pull the rug out from under them. They probably should be entitled to sue for some kind of breach of contract, although who knows how they're written. But it's just no way to run a country where the Keystone Pipeline before Trump was president, all the debate over it then. And then Trump gets in and gives it the green light, and the thing's getting built. And there we are about to have a pipeline ready to be up and running, provide thousands of jobs of construction, and some many to continue with the thing running, oil right from Canada, and we're still getting that oil by other means, but less efficiently, and it's just
they're coming in by train,
right?
And who runs those trains? The union,
right? There's lots of investors,
and who owns those train companies? Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett's a big investor in the rail system,
and Tom Steyer too, I believe.
Yeah,
because he made his money in coal. Now he wants to kill the coal industry. Oh, well, I already made my billions of dollars. Let's kill the industry so I could keep my money and keep other people from making money.
Right. And the fact that all this goes on, we're, shooting ourselves in the foot energy-wise, making it more expensive and becoming dependent on others, which is a national security issue, while completely turning a blind eye to the pollution that China does. They're the biggest single polluter in the world. And and not only are they the biggest polluter, but they literally have slave labor and that kind of thing. And not a peep out of all the people over in Scotland at the big summit there about the climate and all that stuff. Just nothing. China gets a total pass on all this stuff. Now, there is some work to decouple from China on some things, but that's not an overnight process. That's going to take some time. And if we keep moving in the right direction.
Yep. And you got to think that China, they've got a lot of power right now because, and they don't care about how bad their air is getting. They're a communist country. Same thing happened in the Soviet Union. They polluted all over the place. They've got places that are remote, that are, so radioactive they can't build homes there. They've got a lake that was formed by a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
They detonated a warhead underground near a river, and they thought, oh yeah, we'll use nuclear power or nuclear bombs to change the course of a river. And they built this crater with water, and problem is the fish in there, you can't eat them because the radiation is too high. You got other cities where the radioactivity is really high, where those cities are abandoned. A big example is Pripyat in Ukraine, which is near Chernobyl,
Right.
where
Yeah.
so
And here we are. If you remember the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, we under Jimmy Carter boycotted those Olympics, and yet we have the Olympics coming up in Beijing here. And we're going there with debating on whether to do a political boycott of the thing. Still sending
Right.
our athletes. The fact that the world is allowing communist China, with everything they've done, they've given us, all kinds of political strife, and they gave us COVID, and we're giving them an Olympic Games to showcase how great they are. And so that's going to, beef up their image. And then right after that, who knows what's going to happen in terms of, any military action in the Pacific once the Olympics are over. So,
well, Mike, we've done just a little over an hour, so we plowed through it without the help of the old guy.
Right.
We did it. But Ed, it was a pleasure having you on here. I'm sorry about bumping out. We just thought, I don't know, did you think that he just kind of bumped out? And I think he just wanted to show the stickers on the fuel pump that said, with Biden said, I did that. And Pelosi saying, I helped. And Harris says, I suck. But
well, that's a whole nother topic right there.
Yeah.
Of how she got herself to where she is, but that's another story. So, but yeah, quick hour. Not having Lloyd here just left a hole in my heart. But hopefully next week or whenever you do the next show, I don't know if you're doing it next week or not. But we'll have Lloyd back here soon. And if you're watching, Lloyd, hello. So.
All right, I want to say good night to everybody in the chat. Ed, Chris, Mason, Jim, it was a pleasure having you pop in for a little bit. We had a good crowd, and then we Red 5 Golf. Thanks for jumping in. And then we got Night Train. So thanks for jumping in, and we'll catch you next time. And you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Take care. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.